Welcome to the Omada podcast. I am Russell Faucette, and I am here with my co-founder today, Jeremy Martin. So the last couple of weeks, we went over my backstory, but I thought it would be good. I've talked about Jeremy a lot. He's been, side by side in this journey, and so I wanted to bring him on and talk to him about his backstory, how it came to be, and to get a little bit of his perspective of what it's been like in this journey. So, Jeremy, start with the introduction. Like, who are you?
My name is Jeremy Martin. I am a father of five, happily married for well over 20 years. And I actually have a background in construction. So I built power lines for nearly 20 years before jumping into real estate. And so just to have a passion for growing and grinding and helping people achieve their goals.
So when did construction, power lines, real estate, not really the same industry.
No, and matter of fact, everybody who knows me, when they found out that I moved over to real estate, they gave me the double look like, are you kidding me? Like, I've always been told that, sales was a kind of a natural tendency of mine, but to deal with people, because construction is not a people oriented business, and I didn't like people for a long time. So actually I perfected my RBF to where I could keep people at the distance I was comfortable with, right? Dealing with people on a clientele base, on a regular basis as clients was not something that people or myself or my wife or family saw me doing. But I just kind of hit a point in my career where I needed a change. I didn't know what that was like or what it would look like. And I had a friend of mine who was getting his real estate license. And I had decided, okay, well, I've always wanted to invest in real estate. And so why not get my license to be able to do that for myself? Along the way, I read a book and realized that I could actually turn this into a thriving career business rather than just a job. And so I found it, started to dabble in that space and got my license and started selling houses and actually found out that I like it.
Yeah. So it doesn't just have to be that real estate thing.
No, no.
Are you still doing that real estate thing?
Yeah. Yes. Every single day, anytime anybody knows me since 2014, I get that same question. And yes, I'm still doing that real estate thing. My actual answer to them is yes, I'm still supporting and taking care of my family and helping people buy and sell houses. Are you still doing that job thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So walk us through a little bit more. I know early on you went part-time first, right? But you did have success. So like what did that look like? What was what I would say work-life balance? If you're doing two jobs, probably not a lot of balance, but what did that look like of your day job and getting into real estate? How did you manage the two together?
Yeah, no work-life balance. So when I got into real estate, I didn't know. I joined a big company who was known for training. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to take advantage of it because I had the job. So I just kind of had to figure out as I go. I would look online and just follow and research and figure out what I could. But inevitably, I ended up just jumping on and starting to generate my own Facebook leads. Understand that I was a construction guy. Like getting onto computers and things was not my forte. So I literally just had to baptism by fire, start generating leads, calling my database, and just nurturing people to where I could close. So really, I went to work during the day, and would put in a minimum of 40 hours a week. I worked about 600 hours a year overtime at my full-time job, raised my five children with my wife. But I would sell real estate from after work at least at 3:30, 4 o'clock until 11 o'clock at night, right? So I prospected from my truck. I bought a computer so that I could prospect from the truck. And during jobs and different things I was doing, I would make my phone calls and do my follow-ups. So I would make my follow-ups, set my appointments, and then go show houses in the evening and then close real estate. And so I think my first year out part-time, I did 9 transactions. Then the following year, I think I did 15. And then from there, I hovered between 15 and 28 transactions per year.
Okay, so you weren't just doing one or two. You were, running a full-time business. And most of the people that are doing 20 plus transactions individually, that's pretty big. Like, so you were running it full time, even though you did have a full-time job.
Yeah. And my full-time job wasn't just show up, clock in, clock out. So understand that, because I worked for the power company doing power lines. So I was on call basically 24/7. So I would literally go work through the night doing power restoration from a storm or whatever, get off work that afternoon and go out and show houses until the 11 o'clock. So no, I worked around the clock. And I did that for 4 years before I finally had the courage to take the leap and go full time in real estate. But yeah, so I did SOI deals. I generated leads. I figured out how to be a marketing guy, and transaction coordinator and all the things that are attached to real estate basically on my own. I partnered up a couple of times to try some ventures with other people that just never really worked out. Inevitably, I just ended up doing it on my own.
Okay. And so as you did this, like what went into the decision, or how did you make the decision to actually go full time, to walk away from what you were doing? I mean, very established career, to now doing this that's commission based, that your paycheck's not guaranteed every week.
About halfway in, I decided that I actually was going to go after real estate full time because I had seen the opportunity. I'd seen how much money I'd made part time, and the relationships that I'd built with my clients and stuff just part time. So I sat down with my wife and we talked about what could it look like full time. And I had gone down this road because I knew where I was at was not going to be long term. When I started into the line work industry, I thought I'd do it for the rest of my life. And then things had changed in corporate structures and all this stuff. And I decided, nope, I needed out. I was either going to move out of state, which my wife was not okay with. I tried that once. I almost moved alone, but realistically, I needed to be here, for my family without relocating us out of state. So I needed to make a change. So it was set about year two into this that I was going to, I wasn't going to burn the candle at both ends. It's just not achieved or not really doable. And so we just said, okay, when I had enough consistency, when my real estate business was making at least close to what I made it work or more, then I would be ready to do it. And my third year in, I made more in real estate than I did at my job. And mind you, I was a six-figure earner easily,
Yeah.
in that plus benefits. And so about year two and a half in, we decided this is where we're going to go full time.
Yeah. So you went there, and then you ended up joining the Stern team. I mean, we're co-owners of the Stern team. We ended up buying that together. So if you were doing 18, 20, 28 transactions by yourself, no overhead, nothing, I mean, there's some marketing and things like that, but like, why would you join a team if you're already what would be considered a successful real estate agent?
I chickened out. No, I mean, I served an apprenticeship to get where I was. And so what that means is this was a training program designed to make sure that I succeeded in becoming a journeyman lineman. And I believe in success leaves clues. And why go figure it out, reinvent the wheel? Because I'd already done that for the last 4 years and it's not easy. Okay. And I had fumbled my way through my learning experience and made a lot of mistakes and a lot of sleepless nights and just a lot of scary moments. Right. Then I just knew that if I was going to go do this, I was the sole income earner for my family, and I was not going to fail them. There was no question about that. So I wanted to go learn how to do it from the best. I was doing a good job, but I knew I could do better. And so I wanted to just make sure that I was going to solidify my career in real estate and learn from the best.
Okay. And so as you jumped in, what was that like? I mean, you come on at the Stern team, one of the top teams in the state at the time, the top team in the state. And so what were you looking to learn? What did you learn? And, yeah, go through the lessons, I guess, of joining the team.
Well, I didn't know what I was looking to learn because I didn't know, like, as far as I didn't know what I didn't know, right? Which is the story of most solo agents. I didn't know that there is literally a right way and a wrong way to sell real estate. I didn't know that there could be work-life balance in real estate, because at the time I've got photos of a Easter weekend with my family where I was working, and in the photos that we'd taken a trip to St. George. And so I didn't know that there was a life in real estate where that didn't have to be the norm, right?
Yeah.
And so by joining the team, I learned how to present myself, my team, and my value to clients. I learned how to prospect properly, to follow up, to nurture, to use a database. I had dabbled in those areas, but I didn't really know how to do it the right way, right? And I didn't know how to create actual work-life balance. And that was what I'd learned from the team is there is a right way and a wrong way to do real estate. And unfortunately, myself included, most agents did it the wrong way, which is why burnout was real. And that's why there was such high ebbs and flows in business, right? Because I experienced all that too. Coming to the team, it was a whirlwind of information. I hit the ground running, not only because I had to, but because there was just so much to learn. And I'm not the guy that shows up and is good with second or third place. When I learned that there was a first place position on that team for sales and volume, that was my target, right?
Yeah.
And so I just went full force head into it. And I never even took a listing for 4 months into the year or worked a client. I still ended up number one agent on the team that year, right? So
Yeah.
I had a lot to learn and a lot to do.
Okay. So you went from in the 20s. I mean, where did you kind of peak out when you were in full-time production?
I averaged about 60 homes a year, 62 homes a year, give or take. When I was done with production.
Okay. So transaction count, you were able to triple your volume
Mhm.
roughly. And did that, even though you were on a team split, were you able to make more money?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was because what it was is all the overhead and all the things that I was paying for before, my CRMs and my lead man, I didn't pay for any of that, right?
Okay.
And I actually got to go home at night and be at home rather than work till 11. Because prior, I was generating leads, prospecting. Even if now that I did it full time, I still had, as a solo agent, so much to do when I get home if I'm not showing homes and things like that. From all the hats that you can wear in real estate, I no longer wore those hats.
Yep. So, I mean, let's go back to 2019. I'm an operator on the team running the back end, and it's the director of operations. You're our lead listing agent. We start flipping homes. So tell me kind of, obviously, I'm a lot more emotional than you are, but tell me kind of what you went through during that time of like, okay, what are we doing? Because we both went out. I mean, I think we both got Lowe's cards, Home Depot cards, Chase cards to be able to flip that home. Like, what was going through your mind during that time?
Well, I mean, the whole point of flipping, because remember, I got into real estate to invest in real estate. Right now, I had gone through and really done well as an agent, and my job itself was solidified and it was up and running and consistent. Now it was time. How do we build actual wealth? Right, because I had my income secured. And so, what for me, what goes through my mind at that point is, dude, I'm a risk taker. I don't care, right? So for to say, I mean, the numbers look close enough. I think I can sell it. I'm a good agent. I know what I can sell this for when it's done. I know, and I have a construction background, what it should cost. And so I was like, all I needed was, for somebody to partner with me along the way, because I don't do design, right? And I don't do the money management on the bookkeeping, but I work well with the construction and the contractor
Right.
piece. And so really, for you, you brought to the table things that I suck at. Absolutely. Right. So you brought in, the strengths to my weaknesses. And so with that gave me 100% confidence, even though I'm probably too confident most of the time. It still gave me the confidence that I needed to know that I was going to make money on this transaction, flipping this house.
Yeah. And so we flipped the first one, right? We start flipping and rolling. So you had a six-figure income
Mhm.
in construction. You had a six-figure income, as a real estate agent. Now you're making flipping homes. Like, why didn't you just stop? Like, why we ended up let's fast forward the clock, 2021, we end up buying the Stern team. And then last year, we end up starting Omada Real Estate. So when you could be comfortable with the income you're making, what has driven you to continue to take risk and go forward?
A couple things. I made a commitment with my wife when I jumped into real estate full time, and it was either big or broke. There was no in between. And she loved that. Believe me, my wife loves risk and having her life on the limb at all times, as far as that goes.
Right.
And so, and I meant what I said. It's big or broke. And for me, there is no in between. Right? There is no middle ground. There is no mediocre. And so I wanted to conquer, even though I didn't know what it looked like, big things in life. I have income goals. I have lifestyle goals. I have legacy goals to lead to my children. When I started down my wealth journey, learning what I could, I didn't grow up in an environment where, wealth, where money was this thing where you could create it. Right. So I've learned it. I've read about it. I've educated myself, and I vowed that I was never going to leave my kids with that same disadvantage, that I wanted to learn all I could learn about life and business so that I could teach them to do the same, so that they could start to live a life way younger than what I was able to. And honestly, if I got comfortable, then I'd just get bored, and then I'd
Okay.
probably go stir crazy, and my wife would not let me come home. And so, she would send me to work all the time just to make up the difference.
Yeah. So one of the lessons that I've learned is trying to go bigger is that you can't do it alone.
Right.
Right. And so with an individual agent, even with a team, like you reach this ceiling of like, if everything is on my shoulders, I can only take it to a certain level. Right. And so as you looked at, first we'll talk about our partnership, but then we'll talk about the team and, kind of what we look for in an agent and what we've found that have made people successful and what our guiding principles are. So, like, as we looked at this, what was it? And maybe you already alluded to it, but about a partnership. Why were you willing to jump into a partnership?
Because I know I'm not the smartest guy in the room all the time. I know that I don't have all of the strengths that it comes into. Like, I have enough, even though I can be a little too confident at times, I'm humble enough to realize that. And not only that, there's certain things about dip business that I just don't like. And so why pretend and drag myself through the mud when I can partner with somebody? Because again, I'm not about ego driven. And I think ego gets in the way of success too often. I want to go, if we both go far, or there's 10 of us that go a long ways, or however many that is, that we succeed and accomplish great things in life, I'm okay with that. Right. I'm not the guy that wants to be on stage, and again, success comes from surrounding yourself by very talented, smarter people than you. And I'm a firm believer in that, because I can take my strengths and bring them to the table. You can bring your strengths to the table and other people, and together we can accomplish something pretty amazing.
Right. Yeah. And, as a partnership, I kind of looked at that same thing, right? Okay, there are definitely things that you do. I am way more analytical and would catch myself of not taking action, right? And when I go back to our first flip, you brought it, I ran the numbers, it made sense. And all of a sudden we were buying it.
Mhm.
I don't know how many flips in my life I passed over that made sense, but I didn't have the construction background. Wasn't I grew up with a job all the way through. Even at the Stern team, I was the director of operations. I had a job. And so this, fully commission to me was always just bonuses. Like that was, I had my real estate license, I'd do a transaction, and that was fun money to me. Right. But it was never anything that I depended on. And so, I think our partnership, we've been able to grow as far as me bringing in kind of more the business background, you bringing in the take action background together. We've been able to run faster than either one of us would have been able to by ourselves for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, it took me 4 years on my own just to get my CRM set up and running, half decent, right? So, no, before we bought the team, you and I were talking about going out and restarting and doing it on our own.
Right.
And so there was all of that back end that, especially after being on a team that I really knew that I didn't want no part of,
Yeah.
right? Like I was okay going out and selling homes and working with clients because that was what was comfortable and good for me. I didn't want anything of what you did all day. But I knew that if I went out and did that on my own as a solo agent, I would be adopting and getting all of those jobs. I want to know part of that. So if if you look at it as like I have to share, which is not how it is for me, I'm more than willing to share for things if I don't have to do things I don't want to do, dude, that's worth it.
Yeah.
Right? That's money well spent in my book.
And so one of the things that we did early on in our partnership to be able to get on the same page and make sure we're going in the same direction, and this was actually at a seminar that we went to where we had to come up with the values that were going to guide our business, right? And so I thought that was an interesting thing that here we're at a business seminar, you know, thinking that we're going to learn, and we did learn some of the strategies and skills and stuff like that. But one of the very first exercises they did was they had us actually write out our values.
Mm.
And so we did it individually, and then we came together collectively and looked at what are the values that we want to drive our business. And so we'll go over what they are, but why do you think it's important that we're on the same page with what the values of ourselves and the business are?
Well, if you don't have values, then you're on a windy road that goes nowhere, right? And so the values make sure that we stay in alignment all the time, that we're headed towards the same thing. But it's really how you steer the ship. Without values, you make decisions that aren't in the best interest of yourself or the business or the direction that you're going, right? And then especially because it's too easy in life to chase shiny objects or whatever. And if you don't make decisions based on your values, you end up off into the weeds somewhere and you're lost along the way,
Right.
right? And so you have no direction without your values.
And what I've found as we've brought people on, right? The ones that definitely are bought in and align with our values. One, I mean, there's a lot less friction that
Mhm.
happens. And two, we just have more fun.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and that's one of the things we spend so much time working that I think it is important that we actually enjoy the people that we work with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you actually spend more time with them than you do your own families most of the time, right? And that was what was so cool about that seminar between you and I is simply when we wrote those down, because it wasn't like I was peeking at your page or back and forth. Like we were already in alignment.
Right.
There was nothing more than maybe a change in description or like a thought. We didn't have to debate on the values. It was very easy, almost like it was kind of like that meant to be, and so that's what's so nice about it is I don't have to walk away from, if I was to join a team or a company and sit and debate if I align with the values, because we've been in that scenario before where we didn't align with the values of a company.
Right.
And so leaving was actually this huge breath of fresh air. So knowing your values up front, even though we were already deep into business at that point, but knowing where somebody stands and knowing where you stand in your values, it just made the decision to continue working together so much easier. And then every endeavor after that has been a no problem because I know even if there's a disagreement along the way, it still is value driven and it always keeps us back on the path. Right.
Y-
And
Right.
so,
And any disagreement typically is over strategy, not over value.
right.
Right.
100%. Yep.
And so as we look at our values, so we ended up coming up with an acronym of CHILL, and we've adopted kind of the slogan of Live Chill. But what CHILL stands for is community, hard work, integrity, loyalty, and lifestyle. And to give a little bit backstory, when we first started, the C wasn't community, it was competition.
Hmm.
And so what kind of Why competition and why switch to community?
Well, for us, competition wasn't necessarily me against you. Even though in our environment we're a very competitive team, we naturally are attracted to those type of people. But that's more in fun. So
Right.
competition was more about showing up to be the best version of yourself every single day. Believe in the 1% rule that I'm going to be 1% better than I was the day before. So competition's still very important to us. But it's not. We decided along the way that community was a little bit more, because if you're a competitive person, meaning that you show up being the best you can be every single day, being around other people, now you're creating a community of that, right?
Right.
Whether it's a community at work or whether we pour back into our community, it's still the same, because we're going to do what we can to the highest level of our abilities all the time, and we want to be surrounded by people. We want our community, our coworkers, our team to be that same way, to where they have the drive to be the best versions of themselves, and that's the community culture that we want.
Right. And I really think that nails it. I mean, as far as Omada, so Omada means team in Greek, and it really having community be our first value really sends the message that we are doing this together, right? The name of our company means team. We have community. Getting to the top by yourself like is not fun.
No.
Like, there are people out there that are millionaires or billionaires that like don't have family. Everyone hates them in their job, and I don't care if it takes longer, or, I'm not the number one earner in the world if I'm enjoying what I'm doing every day. And a huge part of that is the relationships that we have. And then the next one, I think naturally, this one probably just comes from the way both of us were brought up. How we got our start was hard work.
Yeah.
And you talked about working till 11 as you were doing, line work and real estate. And when I had my job, and I was doing second jobs to make ends meet, like nothing that we have is, from something that was given to us.
Right.
Like we have definitely worked hard, and, we felt it was important to have that in our values because honestly, like that's the same thing is we're not giving handouts, right? And so where did you learn hard work, or why is hard work important to you?
So I was raised by a single mother of three. And so hard work was, I mean, it was survival is what it was, right? I didn't, my mom is naturally a hardworking person. It's just who she is. It's ingrained. And I don't know if it's necessarily the way she was raised. But it was just instilled in me at a very young age that you work hard and you earn and respect everything that you create in life. And we had to. I mean, I delivered papers when I was 10 and 12 years old to give my mom money to help buy my brother and sister clothes for school that
Wow.
year, right? Pulled weeds, whatever I could
Yeah.
do to earn income, to pour back into the household. And so I don't want to say that it wasn't a choice. I didn't know that there was a difference, right? So hard work was just A, I enjoy it. B, it was how I got to go where I wanted to go. It was how I did the things I wanted to do. That was same thing like I told you, in the beginning. I didn't know that money is also as much mind as it is effort. I was only under the impression that it was as much as I could make per hour. So as a young kid, I chased every job I could that made more money, and I worked as hard as I need to move up to get to the top of the income. And so hard work is just something that, I mean, hard work will outperform talent every day of the
Right.
week, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Jim Rohn used to always say, what I lack in talent, I'll make up for in hard work. And so his books and things like that have definitely been an influence for me. And I believe that. Like, growing up playing sports, look at the two of us. We weren't the biggest guys, right? But we both competed at a very high level. And it was, the work we put in behind the scenes, the drive, the mentality. And so naturally, as we look at our values, we also want like-minded people. We want people that are going to come in and actually work hard. And so we wanted to communicate that of like, if you're going to be a part of our community, hard work is expected. And then the next one, honestly, the next one I think should be part of everybody's values. And I don't think we have to spend a lot of time on it. And that's integrity. It's if you're out of integrity, if you're lying, if you're doing things that, you say you're going to do this and then you do that, like that's so tough to be around.
Yeah. I mean, and nobody's perfect, but really integrity for me is just doing the right thing when nobody's looking, right? It's that do unto others type kind of mentality. And it's just, like you said, it doesn't need a lot of time spent on it, because it should be a fundamental value for all people. And honestly, I think in our world, we lack a lot of that. And so if we're able to just put a little more back into it, then we're doing our part.
Yeah. And integrity for me, as much as doing the right thing when no one's looking, is doing what you say you're going to do.
Yep.
Like, I mean, there are a lot of people, and this is even having integrity with yourself, of not lying to yourself, of like, hey, I have this goal. I want to make this income. I want to take this home to my family. And then our actions are completely different. We'll sleep in or we'll, go play. And it's like, guys, like quit lying to yourself. Either adjust your goal or do the activities. And so I think once you're able to align your actual goals with your values, with your actions, that's when you can see massive momentum.
Mhm.
And so that's why I think integrity is super important, because it has your actions and your values have to align. And then we get into loyalty. And so this one is a little bit, sometimes a little bit, I don't know, not difficult to talk about, but it's like you guys want us to be completely loyal to you guys, right? That's your business values. And it's like, okay, in the business world, yes, when you're here, don't talk bad about the company, right? Like we want people that are excited to be a part of us, but loyalty in our values isn't necessarily loyal to us,
Mm.
right? Again, it goes back to we're looking for you to be loyal to your goals, your family.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, tell me, what does loyalty mean to you?
I mean, loyalty is just is honoring my commitments in a way, right? So loyalty is I'm loyal to my family, and if I've set out to hit a goal financially, whatever that looks like, it's for a reason, right? So behind that goal, behind that financial commitment is something that's driving it, something I've committed to my family, something that I've done there, and if I don't perform at the level and have the integrity to honor what I say, then I'm not being loyal to my family. I'm not showing up for them the very best that I can, and the same goes for the team and the company, right? If I set out on a mission to do something, where I say I will commit to doing something, and I don't, then I'm failing my work family, my team.
Right.
And so being loyal to my commitments, being loyal to my people, because I know that they count on me to perform and to do what I say I will do.
Right. And so I've been a part of multiple sales organizations in the past. And at any time, if someone came in and started talking bad about bosses or talking bad about the customers or the company or the industry, like it didn't matter. As soon as someone went negative, like it is that bad apple mentality of one apple can spoil a whole
It
office.
spreads like a cancer.
And so for me, it's like one of those things that if any time you don't align with what we're doing, like there are so many ways to make money. And honestly, we'd prefer that you moved on as opposed to being miserable where you're at.
Yeah.
Like we want people to be happy in the environment that they're working in. And again, we're trying to create a model where people can earn a good living, where they can have fun, where we have fun together. We also know at the end of the day, like some people aren't going to like it.
Right.
And we're okay with that. Like, I am never going to fault someone for being like, hey, like, I'm going to go do something else. That means one, either our values didn't align, you found a better opportunity, or maybe you're just miserable. And like, I don't want anyone to be miserable. And so we want people to pursue their dreams, be loyal to their goals, not our goals, to their goals. And so that is where loyalty to me is I want you to be 100% loyal to your values, your family, your commitments. And at the end of the day, if that aligns with mine, awesome. We'll be able to run far.
And that's we don't need to be in business with everybody, right? We only want to be in business with people who live our values. So if somebody is negative in any fashion, you always just bring down the people around you, and that's just not fair.
Yep.
And we have a responsibility to our staff and our agents and our company to make sure that this is a positive work environment to come through and to come to every day. And if somebody's out of alignment, it's our responsibility to go ahead and part ways. There are, like you said, so many opportunities out there to make a living. Don't stay in a place that makes you miserable and bring others down.
Yep.
Go find it.
Okay. And as we wrap up, our last one in our chill acronym is lifestyle. So I do think it's important that as we're looking at business, that we also look at, what's driving us behind it. And if the only goal in life is to have another zero in the bank account, like that's not fulfilling. It's for me, it's not going to do anything. And maybe a little bit of security after a certain point, right? But then it's like, okay, what are you going to do with the money? And for me, with lifestyle, I don't care if lifestyle is cruising around the world on a yacht or solving world hunger. Like that's up to you, like what you want to do, but you have to be driven by something more than money, or the mundane nature of real estate is going to get to you. At
Right.
least that's what I feel.
Well, and money comes at a cost. right? Because you're exchanging something for the monies. At the end of the day, if you make all this money, but you never have the time or live the lifestyle to enjoy what it's created, whether no matter what that is for you, charitable, travel, whatever that, bougie lifestyle, it doesn't matter. If it's just chasing the zero, but you never get to enjoy it, it's kind of like that saying, you can't take it to the grave with you, right? And
Right.
so we are here all on a journey to live the best life that we can live, whatever that is. Money affords us the ability to do that, nothing more.
Yep.
Right. And so money allows you to do the things that you dream about. And so you make enough money to go out, but it's for the purpose of living the dream.
Yep.
The dream is not the money.
Yeah. If you were to leave everyone with some guidance, some wisdom, we do this every morning with our team is we go motivation. Like what drives you to get up and go every single day?
My family, my legacy, right?
Okay.
So I would say, if I was to leave anybody with anything, it's like figure out what really, really just lights you up inside, right? And put that out in the front. That is your target, the carrot that you're chasing. And for me, it's leaving a legacy for my children, of knowledge and things that they can create a life of whatever they dream about, right? That there is no limits in life except for the ones we put on ourselves. And so it's legacy. So for you, I would just say get in touch with your why. I know that sounds cliche and we've heard it and all this, but the reality is it's what drives everybody, even if you don't want to admit it. You get out of bed and go to work and do the things you do every day, even if it's a place you hate or at a minimum level, there's a reason behind it. So get in touch with what's important to you and then set a plan in motion and then honor it.
Yep. And so one of the goals that I have is, when you talk about legacy, I also want to give now. Right? I want to give back. And so one of the things, if you're a business owner or, in even if you're not in real estate, but if you're a business owner wanting to be a business owner, like we went through the stages of going from being employees to independent contractors, to owning businesses, starting businesses. If you're struggling and don't have that clear direction, we want you to reach out to us. We want to continue to network with people, connect with people, because everyone has something they can learn from someone else. And so reach out to us. The easiest way to get in touch with us is, you can go to our website, omadarealestate.com, or you can find us both on, social media, Facebook, Instagram, DM us. We'd be more than happy to connect with you. And Jeremy, it was great to have you on, have the viewers be able to put a face to the name that I've talked about. And, as we go through this journey together, I'm excited to see what we're going to create and, the friendships and that we're going to develop along the way with partners as we go forward in our business.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that is it's just unmistakably exciting on where we're going to go and dream big and just know that we're going to surround ourselves by incredibly talented people to get there and they get to live out their dream with us.
Okay. Thanks again for tuning in. Follow us again, like, comment, reach out to us directly. We'd be happy to connect with you.